Good morning officially, and welcome to the technical talk for climate issues in the Caribbean. We are very happy to be having the second series of this effort from September to December. So we invite you to be part of this from the Caribbean Climate Center. Thank you for being here. We have a very diverse agenda because we're going to be discussing modules from our colleagues. So we have an introduction to the Caribbean Climate Center. We have the introduction to the ABC modules. We also have a technical demonstration and an evaluation and summary at the end, as well as questions. A brief description of our efforts. The Caribbean Climate Hub is one of 10 regional centers and an international center that provides information, tools, and collaborations, and we want to obviously offer all of these tools and have educational events so that we can share the information as we're doing today. Our team is a very diverse team and very well prepared under William Gould's direction, and we have people in the U.S. Virgin Islands. So the Caribbean Climate Hub is focused in Puerto Rico and the U.S. Virgin Islands. These are the resources of this technical talk. We have our director, Bill Gould. We have Dr. Viviana Medina, who is the coordinator for the Caribbean Climate Hub, Nora Alvarez and Wanda Crespo, who are also part of these modules that we will be presenting, and Lodaray Bracero. I am the Geospatial Information Manager, and of course, a UPR student, Paloma Rodriguez, who is an assistant of the investigation and research. We thank Bill and Viviana for being here, and we ask you to use the chat if you have any questions. Without further ado, I'm going to let Bill Gould start officially these presentation of climate literacy. Here you go, Bill.
Gracias,
thank you.
La doctora Bracero.
Thank you, Dr. Bracero. And I'm going to change to English. So this is the moment to test the Lighthouse translation. Thank you all for our colleagues from Lighthouse.
American Sign Language. Today we have two purposes for this tech talk. One, sharing the mechanics of the climate literacy module, but also we want to raise awareness among any institutions or partners that could see some value in introducing this tool into your workforce. So we wanted to give a little bit of a introduction about the tool and the purpose of the tool and what the intentions are, and how we might help if you see some value in integrating this in your programs. So the idea for this tool was a short online training, climate change basics. What are the risks? What are the practices? What are the programs that can help reduce the risks? Backed with some local science, some local knowledge. And the idea came from conversations with the USDA leaders for the programs in the Caribbean region that make up the steering committee of our Caribbean Climate Hub, because they were interested in a tool that they could provide to their staff that are knowledgeable about their programs, but maybe could use some new information about to help them understand climate projections and climate change and how to integrate that information into their programs. So that was the impetus for this tool. Maybe next slide. We took that initiative and that direction from our steering committee, and we really relied on a number of partners to help develop the tool. We integrated it into a project supported by the USDA National Institute for Food and Agriculture, NIFA, that we call the Climate Smart Caribbean Project. And the partners within that project are the Forest Service, the International Institute of Tropical Forestry, where our Climate Hub is located, Windrock International, Climate Science Alliance, University of the Virgin Islands, and Extension Service of the University of Puerto Rico. Next slide. So the Climate Smart Caribbean project has 3 different components, which we call learning, action, and evaluation. And the climate literacy module is one of those 4 learning components that are part of this Climate Smart Caribbean project that's supported by NEFA. And the learning and action projects all have some integration with our evaluation. So in addition to providing these trainings, supporting climate adaptation, climate mitigation actions, we're also in this process evaluating and learning what's working, what's resonating people, what's not. So it's a complete package that helps us raise climate literacy for the Caribbean region. Next slide. And next slide, yeah, that's the 4th component there. So I think we can go to the next slide. We really had a couple objectives with this project, developing some learning modules that can help raise awareness and knowledge about climate change and the implications for agriculture and forestry in Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands, and also to share some climate adaptation and mitigation solutions, principally connecting those with some of the USDA programs, practices, incentives, and funds that might help implement actions that will reduce risk to climate change. Next slide, please. The initial intention or audience for the project were those USDA staff that the USDA regional leaders thought we could help with raising that climate literacy. But we also see some great value in the partners that work with USDA, the agriculture and forestry sectors in general, folks that are in the planning or decision-making space for programs, and also the general public. And that's going to be something that we will learn as we launch this tool. You know, how effectively is the information resonating with those different audiences, and we see this as a process where we can learn and we can improve and we can make this the most effective tool that we can. Next slide. One of the strengths of this learning module, we feel, is that it's really built on sound local scientific knowledge about climate change. And the sources of information that we relied on include the National Climate Assessments 4 and 5 that had input from Caribbean scientists, the report on the state of the climate from the Puerto Rico Climate Change Council from 2022, as well as information from the International Panel on Climate Change and NOAA reporting on climate statistics for Puerto Rico and the USVI. So we've documented these sources and we've integrated that information into these learning modules. Next slide, please. I want to give a big thanks to some of the folks that help make this a reality. And first of all, that includes Wanda Crespo, who is a fellow supported by NOAA, and over the last couple of years has had some mentorship from CARICUS and from the Climate Hub. Wanda was really the lead in helping us develop the content, writing the material, making decisions about relevant components for this learning module. So big thanks to Wanda. The Climate Hub team provided a lot of input in the writing, and I want to recognize Dr. Viviana Medina, Dr. Nora Alvarez, Eva Holubczynski, former coordinator for the Club Hub, Rafael Vega, former co-lead from NRCS for the Climate Hub, Dr. Diana Guzman, Ivis Figueroa, Dariana Matai, and Stephanie Torres Marrero. So having that authorship from a wide range of agencies gave us good broad scope for the learning module. And we also had some great reviews from Dr. Jared Bowden, Gregory Guanel, Gabriela Cotto, Maricel Pagan, and Diana Martinez Gonzalez. So we feel this is a solid, well-reviewed set of learning information that we're happy to share with folks today. And let's see, next slide. Okay, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Medina, and she's going to work through the components of the module. We really want to hear, have you try it, hear your feedback, and we're looking forward to seeing how we can implement this with our partners. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bill. And just a quick shout out that I saw Gabriela's connected. So happy to have you back, Gabriela. She was a great part of this project. I'm going to switch back to Spanish just because our slides, we made them in Spanish and we're testing our translation services. Así que buenos días a todos. Gracias por estar aquí con nosotros. Como menciona Bill, estamos súper contentos y orgullosos de este proyecto y el producto que hemos desarrollado para ustedes. Esto es una herramienta digital.
This is a digital tool that is accessible to all, and we are going to talk about the technical topic. When we start or enter in this page, what you are going to see is a welcome to this climate literacy module. This content is in English and Spanish. You're going to be able to choose as marked in the screen, and the next thing you have to do is to register, and it's just next to the language you can choose, and you're going to see this form. It is a simple form. The reason that we require this registration is to be able to count and be able to follow the impact of this product, and also to give you a page where you can go and come back, and you don't have to feel that you have to complete this in one occasion only, and you're going to have the content digitally. We're going to have the name of the user, and you're going to use and fill out the name, the last name, the email, and you can also use this space to identify your organization and, of course, what sector or segment you're coming from, because we want to have something that you can use, but not only you, but also federal agencies where that is also something that is accessible to educators, other people that are planning, etc. That a sector or number of professional license is something that we want to use in the context of Puerto Rico, so that the module can be used as continued education, credits for continued education that are required by different organizations. And at the end, you're going to see where this information is going to be published and how you can use it for your benefit. And of course, you have to have a password. And I always forget my password, but we're going to have the password there, so you're always connected. Once you are registered and you go into the platform, you are going to find your profile. You're seeing my profile right now. I completed the module. I approved the module 100%. So you're going to see that I have one course that has been completed and I have the certificate. Let's go to the next slide, please. Another thing that we are so proud to have is this tool for accessibility, where people can increase their text, decrease text, have contrast, so that it is more accessible to a diversity or a diversified audience. Next slide. When you go in and you go to this particular area of the module, you're going to see that it's structured in 4 lessons. The first one that you can see here are the fundamentals of climate change. And that is followed by climate change in Puerto Rico and the U.S. Virgin Islands. What are the tendencies and what are the future scenarios that we are expecting? Lesson 3 talks about climate change and human health, because we know that the disasters and high temperatures and affecting mental health, occupational health of workers, and we talk a little bit about that and about how we can mitigate these issues. And then we have measures for adaptation and mitigation and the resources that are available throughout the federal agencies to be able to adapt to these changes. The objective is that people that come into this module from the different agencies can have basic information and harmonize their knowledge on these aspects through the different federal agencies, because we realize that although we talk a lot about climate change, not everyone has the same amount or level of knowledge. So this is a tool to help us standardize climate concepts and education. Next. The fundamentals of climate change, which is the first lesson. There are 4 lessons. They're going to have these features, that is description, objectives, and the estimated duration of the course. The first one, for example, as well as lesson 1.1, what is the difference between climate and weather? Sometimes that's difficult to understand, and we need to understand how this works in our Caribbean area, because this is made for officials in this region. And of course, what is climate warming and how that affects us here. Lesson number 2 shows a little bit of the tendencies and future scenarios that we're going to be finding. So we're talking about temperature, rainfall, the raising of the ocean levels, the temperature in the surface of the sea, and acidification of the oceans, as well as tropical cyclones. Obviously, this is something that is very important for us because we are always dealing with this issue. We want everybody to have the same type of knowledge and what we are supposed to know. Next. Lesson number 3, as I mentioned, has to do a little bit more on human health and in understanding that we are not isolated, but we are an ecosystem with the workers and the people that we serve, and that we are all being affected by these impacts and changes that we're having on climate, including high temperatures. And what are the diseases that can be related to high temperatures? And this is important for the people in the agencies so that they can understand what is going on and to know what resources are available and be able to help the people that they serve. How these changes in the climates can, for example, have an impact on agrochemical products and how that impacts human beings working with them, what kind of breathing problems or eye problems could come from this and how to prevent them, and a little bit of what we want to do is to offer prevention, how prevention is key to be able to handle all of these impacts. Next slide. Lesson number 4 is one that is very complex because it deals with adaptation and mitigation measures. A lot of us work in the USDA. We also need to know what our sister agencies have. So we need to know NRCS, what they have, and farm service agencies after a storm. So we made an effort to identify what programs are available in different agencies for extreme agricultural events, for mitigation, for climate change, for greenhouse emission, and what do we have in the USDA to be able to confront climate change in productive lands and other areas. Once
pases
you
por todo este proceso,
go through all of the
cada
process
una de
and
estas
all of the
lecciones,
lessons in
no
each
se
one of
crean
the
que es tan fácil.
lessons,
Vamos a
don't
tener
think
un
it's
pequeño
easy.
quiz.
We're going to have a
Un
little bit of a
ejemplo del
quiz.
primer quiz que usted
It's
abre la lección
an
1 es
example
cuál
for
es la
lesson
diferencia
1
entre el
is what's the
clima,
main difference
o sea,
between
entre el
weather
weather y el climate. El
and
clima
climate.
o, ay, se me olvidó la palabra
Now I
en
forgot
español.
the word
Weather
in
and climate,
Spanish.
¿ok? Entonces,
So weather and
vamos a ver
climate,
el tiempo y el clima. Ya
we're
se
going
me
to
olvidó.
see the difference between weather and
Los
climate.
dos dependen de las temporadas del año.
Both depend on the
La
seasons of the
diferencia del
year.
tiempo
Is
en
A,
cuántos datos
B, the length of
se
time
toma,
over which
o
the
no hay
data is
diferencia.
measured and
Cuando usted
collected,
toma esta
or
lección,
C, there
usted
is
va a
no difference
sentirse
between the two. So
capacitado
when you
de poder
take on this
contestar esto,
lesson, you're
y cuando
going
las
to be able to
conteste todas
answer
bien,
this.
si es
And
que sean
once you
todas bien,
answer
porque si no tiene que ir para atrás, usted
everything
puede pasar a la
in a
próxima
perfect
lección.
manner, then you're going to be able to
Próxima.
go into the next lesson.
Entonces, en resumen, usted
To
va a tener
summarize, you're going to have
documento cuando usted termine y
a
termine todos
document when you're
estos
done and when
pequeños
you are
quizzes,
have
usted
completed
va
all of the
a
quizzes,
lograr tener acceso
you're
a
going to be
este
able to
documento
access
en
this
PDF, tanto
document
en español
in
y en inglés,
PDF,
así como
both in
accesar
English
cuando
and
usted tenga
Spanish,
el
and you're
deseo
going to be
esta
able
plataforma
to
en inglés o en español. Va a tener este PDF
download
descargable.
this
Cada una de estas lecciones tiene un
a
video
PDF
corto
of
que
this.
le da
We
como un
have
preámbulo de lo
short
que se va a estar
videos
conversando en esta
with
lección en específica. Y
what
lo más
is
importante,
each lesson.
que
And the
nos
most
pareció como un
important
feature
thing
chévere
that
incorporar,
we
es ese
think is
certificado.
a very
¿Se acuerdan
important
que les
feature
mencioné
is a
que había un
certificate. And remember
renglón en
that
el
I
que podía
mentioned
poner su
that
número
there was a
de
space where
licencia o
you
de
could
número de certificado
input your
profesional? Y es
license
porque aquí
or
en la
professional
esquina
certificate
izquierda
number. And
del
that's because
certificado va a
here
salir
at
incorporado ese número
the
que ustedes
left
provean.
side, you're going to
Así que
have
sirve
that
como evidencia de que
incorporated.
usted tomó el módulo,
And that is an
pasó
evidence
el
that
quiz
you
y tuvo este aprendizaje
went into the
complemento
module,
en
you
la
did the quiz
alfabetización
successfully,
climática, tanto
and
que
you are
le
part
puede
of
mostrar el
this
certificado que
literacy
nosotros otorgamos.
module, and you have
Importante
this
mencionar que
certificate
si se
that
hace
we
de
are
una, pues, el
providing.
curso
If you
puede
do
tomar
it
aproximadamente
in
una hora y
one
media,
sit, it could
o
take an
un
hour and
poco
a
más si no es
half,
algo que lo
a
está
little bit
haciendo
more
ahí
if it's not
dedicado.
something that you're doing in one
Próximo.
sitting. Next.
Y lo otro que queríamos
The
recalcar
other
es
thing
que
that
este
we want to
recurso está
emphasize is that
disponible
this resource
para
is
todos,
available
¿ok?
for
Y nos
everyone.
enfocamos en poder
We are
tocar los
focused
puntos medulares
in
y más importantes
dealing
para
with the
los
key
empleados de las
issues that are
agencias
important
federales y los
for the
empleados
federal
del sector
agency
agrícola,
employees
que están
and
capacitados para poder hablar de estos
agriculture, so
temas
that
de una
we
manera sencilla,
make
con
sure that they can
información
talk about these
científicamente validada,
topics
pero queremos
with
que también esté disponible para
information
toda la
and
comunidad, tanto
scientific
para
data, but we want this
maestras,
to be available for
estudiantes,
everyone,
cualquier persona
teachers,
interesada. Así que
students,
está
anybody
disponible
that
para
is
todos.
interested
Si alguna
in this
agencia
topic.
entiende
If there
que
is an
les interesa
agency that
incorporar
they
esto, que es
want to
nuestro interés, ¿verdad? Y
incorporate
nuestro
this, and
objetivo,
that's what
dentro
we
de
are looking
su
for, that's our
plataforma de
objective,
empleados, estamos más
to
que
your
disponibles
employee
para
platform, we
agilizar este
are
proceso
more
de
than
adaptación hacia el
ready
uso, sea a
to
través de alguna
move
presentación, sea a
towards
través de un training, o sea,
this
estamos para poder
through
agilizar
training, through a
ese proceso de
presentation. So we're
uso.
here to make this
Y
easy
pues que es nuestro
for the
interés que la mayor
agency.
cantidad de
And
agencias y
our
entidades y organizaciones
effort and
cuenten con
interest
este
is that
módulo
the
como una herramienta de
largest amount of
educación climática.
agencies,
Así que si hay otros
organizations have
educadores
this type of
que se
module for
especializan en
climate
educación
education.
climática
So
que
if there's any
cuenten con esta
educator
información
that
para
are
apoyar
specializing
estas
in this topic,
lecciones que crean,
you
la
can count
información
on
que
this
brindan y que se
to
sientan
create lessons, to use the
confortados de que la
module,
información que
and
están
you can
utilizando
feel
es
sure that the
científica y validada.
information is
Y yo
scientifically
creo que con
based
esto
and it's validated. And I think that
cerramos lo
with
que es
that,
el breve
we can
resumen de
close
este módulo.
this short,
No queremos,
brief summary
como quien dice,
of this
darlo todo para
module.
que ustedes lo vean.
We
Y
don't want to
lograr
tell
y
you
me diga
everything
si
that's
sí o
in it
si
because
no,
we want you to
pero
go in,
aquí queríamos
but
enseñar como
we
uno de
wanted
los
to show you
videos que hay dentro de la
a little bit
plataforma
of one
digital
of
que
the videos
resume lo
that
que
we
se va a estar
have in the
hablando.
digital
Así que lo hará. Y si tenemos el
platform.
tiempo,
So if we
podemos
have
demostrarlo.
the
Esto lo que
time, we
duran
can
son
show
3
this.
minutos.
This is a
Entiendo que le
3-minute
pueden dar
video.
como play en la
So I
misma
believe that you
presentación.
can play it from the presentation. Let's see.
Mientras vemos si se puede o no.
Let's see if we can do this.
Quiero ver si
And
hay
while
alguna
we wait,
presentación, alguna pregunta.
We want to know if there are questions. Paloma has been sharing all of these resources in the chat area where you can access the module, but you can also see the information, the scientific data that we have been using to create this project. Each one of us has a link that you can access. Thank you, Viviana. I'm going to be trying to show the video now. Let's go.
No se escucha el volumen, lo de Ray. No sé si.
We cannot hear the audio. If this is a preview, if you can't hear the audio, it's okay. We just want to give you a hint so that you can want to have check this later on. But this is a summary of what you're going to be seeing in that particular chapter of the module. This is from the first lesson where we're talking about the difference between weather and climate, what are the tendencies, and what have we been observing.
Viviana, creo que me olvidé para dar las gracias a
Viviana, I want to thank Miro,
que,
which is a Puerto Rican company that truly they developed the platform, and I forgot to thank them. They integrated the concepts, the videos, the graphics for us. Yes, they have been excellent. We worked jointly in the colors and all of the details, the tools for accessibility, the creation of these videos. So they are an essential key part of this achievement. And with that, I believe we can close the video and we can go on to the next part of our talk today. Thank you.
Esta parte es si las personas lograron.
This part is to ask if people were able to connect to the module. And if there are any questions, the questions that are in the chat. So we have some time for questions. And I would like all of you to feel that this is the right time for these questions because Viviana is here. I see a question here. Once we are done with all of the sections of the module and receive the certificate, can we go back to the platform and review the information when we want? Yes, that's correct. You can come back, you can review the information anytime you want. I have seen that when I do that, I have to take the quiz again, but that's a good way to review because that means that you can check if you really know the concept. So you can do it as many times as you want. They say thank you in the chat, and anyone that wants to ask a question with their microphone, opening their microphone, please just raise your hand. We're going to open your microphone and you can talk and ask your question live. Thank you. If there are no questions, maybe I can ask the audience something. After you've seen.
I think we have a question from Laverne. After Laverne, I'll make the question to the audience. Laverne, go ahead.
Okay, there you go. Yes, good morning. Excellent presentation. I like the module. I looked at it before, but suppose I don't want the certificate and I don't want to take your quiz. Will you allow me to continue through the modules?
That was a big debate we had while creating this project. Some of us wanted no, let's just put it all out there. Others was like, no, people have to work for, this. And we decided that, in order to have full accountability, that the information that people are receiving is the full picture, is that people do need to go through the whole module, because the idea is that it becomes a tool, right, for educators and for agency personnel. And so we decided that adding that level of rigorosidad or rigorosity added to the professionalism of the product and its use in a more stricter environment.
The reason I asked was because you indicate that one of your audiences is the general public. And you will not have everybody in that group that wants to do tests. Yeah? Hence my question. But I think your other stakeholders, it makes sense, but I wonder about that group.
Good point. It's a good point, and we definitely debated it for a while, to the last minute. Even if we
De hecho, y aun cuando sí debemos contestar las preguntas de la prueba para que se pueda descargar el PDF. Sí, así que fue un tema de debate y todavía está abierto a sugerencias. Si vemos que se convierte en un obstáculo para la adopción del módulo y el uso del módulo, entonces estamos abiertos a hacer ajustes. Bien, gracias. Sí, Viviana, trajiste un muy buen punto de que nosotros sí queremos aprender cómo esto es utilizado y queremos asegurarnos de que sea utilizado de manera efectiva y que valga la pena para la gente. Y yo soy la primera vez que lo tomé. A mí no me gusta que me digan qué hacer y tomar pruebas. Me gusta verlo rápidamente, ver lo que es, ver si vale la pena y darle una mirada rapidita al módulo. Pero ahora tenemos un módulo de trabajo. Pero sí, uno tiene que tomar la prueba y pasar la prueba para poder pasar a la próxima sección. Así que eso es una barrera. Sin embargo, las preguntas cortas de múltiples selecciones es muy fácil regresar y decir, bueno, pensarlo nuevamente. ¿Cuál es la contestación correcta? Así que si eso sirve el propósito de hacer una pausa antes de pasar a la próxima pregunta, pero es bastante fácil regresar atrás y ver, decir, bueno, si esa estuvo mal, puede ser esta contestación y continuar hacia adelante. Potencialmente podemos ver cómo nos va, pero creo que esto son soluciones de programa para los usuarios desde el comienzo. Bueno, yo sé que hay algunos que dicen, bueno, yo prefiero no tomar una prueba y pueden ir a otras partes. Pero sí, definitivamente lo discutimos y queremos ver si podemos agregar esa parte de la responsabilidad al utilizar la herramienta. Esa era la intención, pero vamos a ver, todo esto es un ejercicio de aprendizaje y estamos abiertos a hacer ajustes. Bien, tenemos otra pregunta y es sobre, la voy a repetir para todo el mundo, para que sepan lo que se contesta, y dice, voy a cambiar español.
El vocabulario en los módulos se pudiese incluir como parte de una clase de escuela intermedia o superior. Yo entiendo que sí, pero más que todo quizás superior, porque pues
I think so, but it could be more for high school because we have a little bit higher concepts that maybe students in middle school will not understand, but I believe in the high school and in the region we live where we are experiencing cyclones and extreme heat and changes in the levels of the sea. I think that an audience that is already in high school and on their way to the university, of course it could be used. I understand that it could be done, but definitely the second question, or is it for educators? Educators can take parts of these lessons and digest them a little bit more, knowing how their students are, so that they can be more successful in transferring this information to the students. I believe in both ways it can work.
A mi pregunta para el público, entonces, si no hay
And
preguntas por
in terms of
ahora,
my question to the public, if we
ya
don't
que
have
ustedes vieron
any
este módulo,
questions right now, since you've seen the
más o menos
module
saben cómo es la cosa,
and more or less you
se ven
understand
bien
how it works,
utilizándolo en sus agencias,
would you use it into your
o en sus,
agencies?
trabajos,
Can you see yourself using
¿qué
it at
recomendación
work?
ustedes darían
What kind of
para que
recommendations would
entonces
you
lo incorporen en
offer
su agencia? ¿Qué nos
so that
faltó
it can
o
be
qué le gustaría
incorporated
ver?
in the agencies? What would you like to see? What is missing?
Y voy a dar 2 minutos para que contesten
I'll
esa
give you
pregunta.
2 minutes to
Mientras
answer
tanto,
that question,
voy a
and
responderle a
I am going to be
Bill, do you want to answer this
responding.
question from Peter Boucher? It says, cool module, thank you. Can you tell us a bit more about the benefits of gaining accreditation from completing the modules? How do you envision folks will use the accreditation and the knowledge? Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Peter. I think our intention is to work with.
La intención es trabajar con aquellos aliados que quizás están interesados en la acreditación. Por ahora tenemos un certificado, pero nos encantaría trabajar con la extensión, ya sea en Islas Vírgenes o Puerto Rico, porque la extensión son requeridos en los servicios de extensión de que tengan créditos de aprendizaje. Y si sirve ese propósito, con mucho gusto nos gustaría ver cuál sería el proceso para asegurarnos de que esto pudiera ser parte de su currículo para que puedan utilizarlo de esa manera. Quizás hay otros, yo sé que dentro del Departamento de Agricultura Federal hay un programa en línea de aprendizaje y esto puede ser integrado con ese módulos de aprendizaje de otras agencias que quizás tengan otras maneras de quizás dar crédito a sus usuarios, pero creo que eso sería un buen resultado si escuchamos de personas que les gustaría utilizar la herramienta. De esa manera podemos tratar de ver cómo sería ese proceso para las diferentes organizaciones.
I think Lorelai, go ahead, Bill. I was just going to say that.
Sí,
Lorelai
adelante, Bill.
But if you have a couple
Creo
more
que a
things to say,
Lorelai
go
le
ahead,
gustaría
and
hacer
then
una
you can
evaluación,
pass
pero
it to
si
Lorelai.
tiene unos comentarios adicionales, adelante, por favor. Sí, simplemente quería decir un poquito sobre las pruebas cortas. Es un poco como un incentivo para que la gente realmente se adentren en el material, ya sea porque tienen que pasar la prueba corta o porque su patrono le está diciendo tienes que tomarlo. Esos se pueden ver tanto como incentivos o barreras para su uso. Y realmente queremos hacer que esto sea útil para las organizaciones que quieran aumentar su alfabetización climática en su personal, en sus constituyentes y sus usuarios, su personal. Así que realmente con mucho gusto lo que queremos es adaptarlo para que sea útil.
Un aplauso virtual a los colegas, a nuestro director y a la doctora Viviana. Gracias por esa presentación, gracias por esos recursos. Sabemos que fue mucho trabajo y mucho tiempo dedicado a crear esos módulos. Así que felicitaciones de nuestro equipo y de las personas que están aquí en este Tech Talk.
We want to go to the final part of this talk so that we can evaluate briefly the talk. So please enter the link, and you can use a QR code too. You can access it from your cell phone. The evaluation helps us improve this type of events, and as we do in the modules, it allows us to expand our events and activities. So please take some time. We are at the end of our talk. Please fill the form. I believe it's in the chat already, the evaluation. So please take your time. You can open it. If you have any kind of difficulty, let us know through the chat. But I want to say thank you once more. Thank you, Viviana, and thank you for everyone. And of course, they also shared their email information. So if you want to contact Dr. Viviana, or if you have any additional questions, you can contact them directly.
También queríamos darle promoción.
And we also want to advertise the next chats that we're going to have. We have in these series 2, we have invited collaborators and organizations that work with us, and we're going to have the next talk on October 10th, and it's going to be about the use of the SJUNWS Storm Ready dashboard. Please register, go to our webpage and register there. And then we are going to have the how to join the collaboration network for that we call Coco Rush. So then we're going to have mitigation of landslides in Puerto Rico, data and digital tools. We are ready to receive your feedback, your comments. So please talk to us and register in our series. Once more, thank you so much. You can follow us on Facebook and in other social media, Instagram, and you can see our publications. We have our colleague that is in charge of that, Marie Crespo. So please take that into account. You can follow the YouTube channels, and any information that we have in the Spatial Caribbean Climate Hub. So please find out about all of the adaptation measures that people in the agriculture sector are using. We are here for a few minutes if you want to ask any questions. Thank you, Viviana. Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Nora and Wanda. Although you're not here in person, but thank you for this literacy modules. Have a great day. Thank you.